Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the fridge. On the menu tonight, World of Tanks. Tonight we're having a quick look at the Italian tech tree, and I'm going to go through some of the history of Italian tank design. Where do I start? Well, let's start with the tech tree. The Fiat 3000 is a licensed production of the French FT. The Italians took the FT and made some improvements. They shortened and widened the chassis and installed a high-velocity 37mm cannon. The engine was also upgraded to 65 horsepower. The tank went through an update at some stage, receiving a more powerful 37mm cannon, and were still in service at the outbreak of the Second World War, being used as training vehicles. Italian tank designation is fairly straightforward. The letter at the start is the designation. CV is armoured vehicle being attached to tankettes. L is light tanks. M is medium tanks. And P are heavy tanks. The first series of numbers is the tank's weight. The second number is when that model entered service. As you can see, once we get to Tier 4 in-game, we're using the last of the production tanks, and everything from Tier 5 onwards is prototype or blueprint tanks. Looking at the Italian tanks, you'll see that they're all lightly armoured. They don't fit with European tank development, and this is because of where Italy is. They're a mostly mountainous country, and during the First World War shared an alpine border with the Austro-Hungarian Empire. Fighting in these conditions dictated the use of small, lightweight tanks. Italy is an old country. It has many small roads and small bridges that were never built with large load-bearing capacities. Tunnels are another issue. You can't sneak a few centimetres here and there when you're faced with a hole through a mountain. A few centimetres too big and you simply will not fit. So mobility was a major design restriction. Manufacturing was another consideration. At the start of the First World War, Italy only had two major manufacturers, Fiat and Ansaldo. Tank design had to be restricted to meet the manufacturing capabilities of these two companies. So looking at the tanks that we have in game, you'll see the common theme here, light armour and reasonably small tanks. Early tanks are designs from the interwar years, so you're going to have lower top speeds, thin armour, and guns that would be best described as adequate. The tier 5, 6 and 7 tanks are all single shot guns, so expect them to behave as regular medium tanks. And you can see the German influence in these designs, with them all looking somewhat like a Panther. The post-war tanks are the tier 9 and 10 tanks. The Standard B was a design that was drawn up under the standard tank program that Europe was involved in at the time. The Germans came up with the Leopard, and the Italians went another direction, developing their own main battle tank, the Ariete. Tier 8 is where we see the first of the auto-reloading system. Those of you that have the Progetto 46 will know what to expect at Tier 8 and 9. When it comes to Tier 10, things get disappointing in my opinion. I was expecting to see a very mobile medium, similar to the Batchat. What we got is something more like the E50M, but without the armour. The power to weight ratio is poor for such a lightly armoured tank, and the gun doesn't really make up for it. Top speed is listed at 60 km an hour, but in my experience on the test server, it doesn't actually like to go that fast. I ended up playing it more like a regular autoloader because of this. You know, find a lone tank, dump the clip, pull back to reload. The tier 8 and 9 play differently to this, with their good mobility letting you hover around the mid to rear lines, darting in and out, taking one or two shots and pulling back and waiting for your magazine to reload. I seem to be alone in the suggestion that the tier 10 needs another 250 horsepower, with most people saying that it needs a better gun. I found the gun to be decent, although not outstanding. Perhaps it's just my playstyle with mediums that is colouring my perception of what this tank should be like. If you enjoyed the mobility of the premium Progetto, and like putting 1 or 2 shots down range, then I would suggest the Italian Tier 10 isn't going to suit you very well. If you like the Leopard but want an auto reloader on it, then you may just like the Progetto 65. All in all, the Italian tree does offer something different, and it is a welcome addition to the game. Thank you for joining me in the fridge. As usual, you'll find links to my Twitch, Patreon and Discord in the video description. If you have a funny or facepalm moment, please send me the replay file through to thefridgereplays@hotmail.com or drop by my Discord. Please share my content with your friends, and if you become a Patreon supporter, you'll go in the running for a $200 giveaway. Thanks again for joining me. I'll see you again soon.